In this episode of Learning about LGDs on Site, we will address the topic of Livestock Guardian Dogs and Poultry, particularly the training of puppies and young dogs. Be sure to subscribe at the end of the video to stay up to date with our Livestock Guardian Dog programs.
Many modern homesteaders and farmers are turning to livestock guardian dogs to protect their chickens and ducks and other barnyard fowl. Poultry are often particularly vulnerable to predators, which often limits the poultry farmer's ability to free-range her flock. A well-trained, reliable LGD can prevent losses from predators and allow the poultry farmer to achieve a more natural, healthy lifestyle for her birds. However, poultry are not traditional livestock for LGDs to protect, so using them with birds presents special challenges. Not every LGD will turn out to be a trustworthy poultry guardian, even with the best training and genetics, but there are a few things you can do to maximize your chances for success. The first step with any working LGD is to purchase a dog from a reliable breeder with good references who can prove the working heritage of her dogs. If you can find a breeder with dogs already experienced with poultry, that is the best bet. As with training any LGD, prevention is key. Puppies and adolescent dogs already struggle with really bad decision-making skills, and a flapping, squawking chicken, like these guys here, can be an irresistible toy for a really young dog. If they're able, many puppies will inevitably kill a chicken or other bird simply because they're playing with it to death. They're not really killing it deliberately, they're just, wow, this is super fun, it's squawking, it's squeaking, and they just keep going until the bird dies. It's rarely deliberate, but they're little birds and it's a big puppy, and they're just not holding up very well to that kind of play. So in the beginning, the ideal is to keep them completely separated. Often this means the puppy's area needs to be chicken-proofed because chickens are really pretty dumb, and they will actually fly into the pen with the puppy, get killed by it, and then the next day the rest of the flock will do it again. So poultry netting across the top is usually a really good idea. With any stock, the puppy also needs to practice calm and gentle behavior, so taking the puppy out into the area with the poultry is a good idea. Take him out on a leash in the beginning so that it's easy to correct bad behavior if you have to, so you have physical control over your puppy. You want to praise your puppy for ignoring the birds, for lying down, walking slowly around them and away from them, and anything else that involves the puppy just sort of chilling out. Avoiding eye contact, turning their heads away, gentle sniffing, and then no further. Unlike other types of livestock, dogs don't really bond to poultry, so I generally don't encourage the puppy to meet my birds like I do with my goats. I want them to view the birds as totally off limits, so I'm happiest when a puppy doesn't even look at them. Just another thing on the farm, nothing to worry about, nothing to get excited about. Any attempt to play with, stare at, bark at, or bounce towards the poultry results in a stern scolding, and then I immediately put them back in their pen. So anything that isn't completely mellow means they get stuck back in timeout. I do have one exception to my rule about no interaction, and that's if I have a mother hen or a duck with a brood. In that state, the mother birds, at least mine, are really, really protective, and they're often really good at teaching puppy manners. So I will let a pup get close in that scenario just so one of my Muscovy girls can wallop the puppy and teach it a lesson that it certainly will not forget. If your birds are tame enough, it can also be helpful to hold them and pet them in the dog's presence, making it very clear that they belong to you and only you and are off limits. So I'll hold the bird, act like it's mine, and if the puppy tries to reach up for it at all, I'll tell them to leave it. I will scold them, just like I would if I was holding something I was eating or anything that my puppy was trying to grab at. I do strive to protect my puppy from bullying by roosters or drakes because they can overdo it, unlike a mother. A mother won't continue to pursue the dog after it's protected its flock, but the males can sometimes be real jerks. So if I have a really rude rooster or drake, first of all, I call mine, but if you have a really rude rooster or drake, try not to let it get after your puppy too much, because if you don't want your puppy to be afraid of your birds, just respectful. The training phase for raising a poultry guardian often lasts well into their second or even third year. This takes a little longer than other types of stock because you're literally waiting for them to grow out of the urge to play, and it takes a little longer for that to happen because they aren't developing a social relationship with the birds. So they have to stop seeing them as toys and stop having the impulses to be silly, which takes maturity. During this time, you want to be extremely vigilant so that your young dog doesn't get a chance to develop bad habits. Any inclination to chase or play should be sternly corrected. It's never cute, no matter how cute it may look. It's always very, very naughty for your puppy to attempt to play with your birds. If your puppy does make a mistake and a bird is injured or killed, it's not as much of a catastrophe as if your dog is killing large stock like goats or sheep. Usually it's just an accident. It's fairly normal. Most dogs who have accidentally killed a few birds as young dogs will go on to still become reliable poultry guardians. My boy Lennon probably killed 4 or 5 chickens before he was 3 years old, and then he killed quite a few ducklings around that time too, because it took him forever to figure out that they were the same thing. It's also really important that they may have to experience 2 or 3 hatching seasons. Like I said, Lennon was not reliable with ducklings long after he was reliable with adult birds, because the little babies, first of all, they're totally different looking and they may not realize that they belong. And second, even just mild interest in a baby duckling where they just stick their paw on it, to see what it is going to squish it. So Lennon did that a few times his first couple of years, because he would put his paw on them to hold them still so he could investigate them, and then of course we'd have a dead duckling. He would get in trouble and then he'd get in timeout, same deal as always, just as with a puppy. He is 5 years old now and is absolutely fabulous with my birds. The failure rate for poultry guardians will always be a bit higher than for more traditional hoof stock, but so far I have been successful using the techniques I talked about today. I would not be able to keep such a large free-range flock of Muscovy ducks and laying hens if I didn't have my Central Asians on duty. I have not had a single loss to predators with the dogs on the job.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the other Learning About LGD videos. And if you're in South Carolina, definitely come check out the Agricultural Museum of South Carolina. Take a visit and see Red.